Hey, everybody, it's Craig Syracuse of Walk in Faith. I am so happy to be sitting down with my friend Anthony Scillia. I think a lot of people know him. He has a podcast. I'm going to say it wrong, but it's At the Table with Tony.
Perfect.
I said it right?
Perfect.
Actually, I see you online. You know, we did Breaking Bread with Monsignor Jamie, who's, we all know Monsignor Jamie from his show. But, we worked together in that show. And you also live in New Jersey. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. Bergen County.
Bergen County. And then I know you do the show every night. You have like 3 or 4 guests on, and you travel to restaurants. So, first of all, if people aren't familiar with your show and aren't familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, yeah, born and raised Jersey boy, Italian-American. So proud of my heritage, proud of where I come from, proud of my family. And food has always been an important part of my life, especially as an Italian-American. And, whether it's a funeral, a wedding, a birthday, Christmas, Easter, you're always around a table with your family and friends. So for me, that's been everything. And as I've gotten older, I've worked in restaurants, and I really wanted to find a way to, kind of preserve the Italian American culture, I call it Italian Americana, because there are so many restaurants and little shops and mom and pop shops that, unfortunately, throughout the years, the second, third, fourth generations, they're not continuing with these businesses. So I said, I think it's imperative to somehow preserve this. So that's why I do my show At the Table with Tony, where I actually go to these different locations and sit down with the proprietors, the owners, the people, and talk about the history of the place. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, I can't do that no more.
What are you missing the most? I mean, I don't know what food I'm missing the most personally, but my wife is a good cook, and she's been preparing dishes every night, which is what I'm looking forward to tonight. And every night after we eat, we say, "What are we going to cook tomorrow?" Because that's like the highlight. It's like, what are you having for dinner, and what kind of wine? So, what do you miss the most about during this pandemic?
I love to go out with friends and obviously with my wife, and I just like to sit down and have a good meal, just to be able to sit and break bread. I think it's kind of what, breaking bread is an important thing for a lot of cultures, especially for the Italians. So, I just missed that. I miss going, there's a local tavern, bar, restaurant. It's been around since like the 50s, called the Belmont Tavern in Belleville, New Jersey. One of my favorite places in the world. Me and a couple of buddies, we go there on a Monday night, usually just hang out, and they're known for their chicken Savoy, which is like one of my favorite dishes of all time. And it's just an old school place, old school Italian-American place. And I miss that. I miss that, camaraderie with my buddies. I mean, you can Skype, we could talk on the phone, text, but it's still not the same to have that social interaction in person.
Is there one food, though, that you miss the most? I mean, I'm trying to think about what I miss, but I'm in the mood for a steak. I can obviously get that from the butcher, but what do you miss the most? What would you say?
I guess if I had to say, it probably would be chicken Savoy.
Really?
Because that's something that I'm not going to make at home. I mean, not that I'm like this. I'm no Emeril Lagasse, but I love to cook. So I mean, and tomorrow I made some homemade pizza. I have the dough rising today, so we'll make that tomorrow. So I mean, my wife and I were constantly cooking while we're in quarantine, which is great. But again, like I said, I do. What I like to do is I like to be able to give support in business to these, like I said, little mom and pop shops. And that's what we need to do, especially now in this time. I know it's tough that we can't go out there. We can't, actually eat at the restaurant. But if we can somehow support, your local pizzeria, your local sushi joint.
That's interesting. And I've seen, and this is what I wanted to really talk to you about, was I've noticed a lot of restaurants. Now, my family, they have restaurants in Staten Island and Jersey, and my brother had pizzerias. So they've been in the business, not me personally. But, I've noticed that, like some of the restaurants, and I'll give you chain examples, like Chili's, right? Mm-hmm. I like Chili's, not a place I would go on a Monday night, but, now what they're doing is selling beer and wine, right? Just like a distributor. Texas Roadhouse is selling steaks directly, so now they're meat distributors. And I've seen a lot of restaurants. A friend of mine has a pizzeria restaurant. He's selling the dough, and you can make your own pizza. Shout out to Anthony Rappaciulo in Staten Island. A lot of friends that are sort of using this time and creating new opportunities. So now we're thinking, my wife and I, let's order pizza. But the first thing I'm worried about is the box. I'm worried about the hands. I'm worried about all this. So I don't want to order it because I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not comfortable. So I don't order. So now, first of all, I don't know if people need to be afraid, or maybe I'm a little bit, extreme, but my fear now is, what's the future? One is are there new opportunities that are going to come from this, whether it's a lot of restaurants and mom and pop shops? They didn't use Uber Eats. They didn't use any of these delivery services. So now you have this new opportunity for people to expand their reach and expand and revenue sources and streams. So are there new opportunities? And also, will people, including yourself, feel comfortable sitting in a restaurant? There's a restaurant in Williamsburg I'd go to, and I would be literally on top of the other guy. Now, am I going to ask, hey, is this table clean? Are there disposable tablecloths? Where is the food coming? Is it going to be covered? What's going to change? Or will people just order out and eat in the car like, in the old days with the roll, what do you think? What's the future?
These are unprecedented times. This is a whole new territory. I pray, my prayer or my hope is that we go back to the way it was, to be able to go to these restaurants and enjoy it. And we'll have lots of people, lots of fun, lots of laughs, lots of food. But you're right. I think that, at least I think in the beginning, I think that you're right, that there's going to be, whether they're going to continue the social distancing, not saying that you cannot eat in a restaurant. I think they'll allow you to eat in a restaurant, but I think that you're right. You're not going to be able to sit, tables right next to each other. I think there's going to be a lot more spread out if they decide to do that as a restaurant. If not, my concern is when New Jersey announced that they were doing the social distancing and that you can only do takeout or delivery. When I heard the figure I heard, they said 90% of the hospitality industry lost their jobs.
Yeah,
90%. I mean, that's a huge chunk, and to think. So I worry about those people because they're out of a job. So what? They're going to collect unemployment. They're going to try to find jobs in other businesses or other. It's so. That's my concern, is that I don't want to see the industry tank, and that's a real concern. It's kind of like it's like a black cloud over our heads now. So I hope that we can go back to normal. That's my end goal, is I want to go back to normal. But you're right. I think that in the beginning it's going to take. I'll be honest. We had a conversation about this last night, and a friend of mine asked, when would you go back to a restaurant? I said I would go back as soon as they say come back in. And he goes, because a better barometer would be, when would you take your wife to a restaurant?
We have a cruise planned in July, and she wants me to cancel it now. My mind is like, it's July, but the thing is this, like, we're married, we have families. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to make the other person uncomfortable. So would she go back to a restaurant? No. I would say she probably wouldn't go back till probably midsummer. We don't even order food. I really wanted to order pizza the other night, and she was concerned. And I said, well, we could put it in the oven at 500 degrees for an hour, a half hour, just to heat it up. But I can tell she was uncomfortable. So, like, one of my family's restaurants, they closed in New Jersey, Aunt Butchie's, right? Very popular, famous restaurant. They closed in New Jersey. In Staten Island, they're open, and they're selling or distributing food to first responders. So they created a new business from this. Mm-hmm. But not all the businesses can do that. There's a local pizzeria that I know just opened, and they have the old-fashioned where the pizza's exposed on the countertop. I wouldn't go in there, and I'm not going to buy pizza. Now, that business in 2 months, 3 months can go out of business, $10,000, $15,000, whatever they're losing per month. They can't survive. So what's the future? I mean, do you think these businesses are going to survive? Some of these mom and pop shops, if they haven't adapted, are they going to adapt? Like, what do you think? I mean, you've been to how many restaurants?
Oh, I go to a lot of restaurants. But one thing that I have noticed, that a couple of restaurants, what they're doing is, I think this is actually genius. They are getting, because they have suppliers, they have people that can give them the eggs, give them the milk, give them the toilet paper. They're actually becoming almost like a dry goods, like the old school dry goods stores. So you go to the restaurant, if you want to buy the prepared, pre-made food, you can buy that. But if you need a couple of eggs, if you need a cup of sugar, if you need, like I said, toilet paper, they're also doing this. They're also selling, like I said, like dry goods, which I think is a genius way to adapt to the situation. Because you go to like your local big supermarket, the line, I heard today, there was a supermarket around the block from me. They said the lines were around the building. So I mean, like I said, to me, I would rather go to that mom and pop shop, because again, I try not to always buy like in bulk. I almost buy for the day. So whether I'm going to the store every day or I'm going to the butcher, I always try to kind of, do it daily. Like I have the old school mentality in a way. But, I mean, obviously, if you got to get toilet paper, you want to get the big box, but a big container or whatever. But I think that it is smart that these smaller stores, restaurants are doing this I guess, adapting to our current situation. I think it's actually genius. And even like you said, I think that some restaurants that didn't do delivery before are now doing delivery, whether they're hiring people to actually do the delivery for them or they're hiring a company to do the delivering. I think that these are things that, but the thing, see, the thing that I'm concerned is that, like, more of, I guess, fine dining restaurants, because it's hard to do an Uber Eats or a Grubhub with a fine dining restaurant, because you think about it, when they make a plate, it's everything is purposely placed on that plate. So how are you going to transfer that when you get home? You know, how are you gonna open it up? It's gonna look like we call Shanghai. It's gonna look like, like a mix of things. So it's not. And then and then the other crazy thing is that people are still yelping. That's what blows my mind. Like they're complaining about the food or whatever, the service. In this time, I mean, you have to use a little bit of common sense.
You mean, so they're ordering food, regardless of where it's from, Uber Eats, and then they're complaining about it? How do you? I mean, I don't know. I guess
it blows my mind.
I mean, that's, and now, not that I want to talk about this, but I was telling my wife, and I like, we're friends on Facebook and we talk, and I saw, three three restaurant owners that you knew personally that passed away from the virus?
So there was a great friend of mine in Hackensack, New Jersey. He passed away. And then it was an older gentleman. He owned a butcher shop in the city. He passed away.
Okay. Is that the one with the daughter passed away as well? Is that the one? There was one that people have been talking about. It was one of the original butcher shops, and she wrote a poem, and she passed. I've seen it on social.
Oh, no, I didn't see that one. No.
Yeah, it went viral. Celebrity, just Sarah Bareilles, from She Lives in Manhattan, she wrote about it. And
oh, really? No, I didn't see this one. No.
Yeah, I saw it. I think it happened yesterday. But I mean, so the people that you knew that worked in the restaurant, were the restaurants open? Do you know anything about it?
These were a lot of these were older. They were older people, so they're like their kids, their grandkids were kind of running the operation. So I mean, again, I don't know if it was from interaction within their own family, if it was they're still working in the restaurant. So I guess I can't really comment on how they contracted the disease, but it seems like it's becoming more and more easy, because they're closing more and more places, whether it's restaurants, whether it's stores, whether it's parks. They closed all of our parks in New Jersey, so you can't even go for a run, you can't go for a bike ride or anything. So I mean, that's I guess that is the scary thing. I mean, you think that I have a bottle of water. Did I touch this water? Did somebody before me touch it? And I'm gonna get, I touch my face, I touch my eye. I mean, I'm always, I'm always moving my hands.
Me too. It's scary.
But again, I think that it's important that we have to realize that we can't live our life in fear. I think that is so important now. I know that we are concerned, but we can't be afraid to walk outside our door, even if it is to get some fresh air, even if it's to wave to your neighbor. Even if it's take a ride and pass your grandmother's house and wave to her. I think that it's important that we have to keep our social distance, but we we can't be living in this state of constant anxiety, because I in the beginning when this first hit, I was watching the news. I was like on my phone, on the TV. I was like, oh, but really I couldn't sleep at night. I was constantly eating. So I think that really in a way, I just had to. That's why I like doing these kind of videos, these interviews, because it's a way of us to communicate as a society. Again, not being together in person, but yet to be able to share ideas and be able to talk about, to get this stuff off of our chest. Because a lot of times you keep it inside and then we go crazy.
I agree. I was today. I almost did it again. I was consumed with Fox News. Put it on in the morning, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I go can't go to the gym, which, I understand. So I go for my walks in the morning. I do about 4 miles, just to listen, and I meditate and pray. Come home, put on Fox News. The day goes by, 4, 5, 6 hours. This one's on the President of May. And I realize that I'm in this state. And then at nighttime, I'm eating and I'm drinking soda, and I'm not like happy. And I'm just like, in like you said, like a state of fear. I'm just not filled with joy. So ever since I started doing these videos every day, I feel like I'm back to myself. I'm not letting the day control me at all. So now, okay, so I'm home tonight. I'm home tomorrow, obviously. Tell me a couple of things that I can cook, that I might have some ingredients around the house that I can just whip up. What should I do for this weekend?
I mean, it is Easter weekend. So I actually went to the butcher and I had him prepare me a stuffed pork loin. So that I will be honest, I am gonna get my the meat from my local butcher, and I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, there's just so many simple things. I mean, as one thing that I've learned throughout this pandemic is that we kind of went back to our roots, to what we call cucina povera in Italian, like this poor man's cooking. So whatever we have in the pantry, whether it's a can of beans, you mix it, you saute that with some garlic, some olive oil, maybe some onions, some carrots, and then you make almost like a soup. And you make a little bit of pasta, you mix it together, and just simple dishes. Last week I had some canned clams, so I made a quick clam sauce. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do with just kind of, we call it like a jumbo. Like you just mix everything together and you just cook it. Really, I mean, there is no right or wrong way to cook. I mean, it's whatever you the only thing I can say that it could be right or wrong is when you bake, because baking is a science. You have to make sure you have the right amount of sugar, the right amount of flour, the right amount of whatever, water or oil, whatever it is. But when it comes to cooking, I think that you have to just kind of I think there was a saying like, let your ancestors guide you, just kind of let them tell you, because everything, all the old recipes, just a pinch of this, a handful of that. So you just kind of use your common sense. Well, I'm not going to put 3 tablespoons of salt into like a frittata or something like that. I mean, you just kind of use a little bit of common sense. I mean, taste as you go. That's so important. I think that people forget about that. They just think, I'm going to follow the recipe. At the end, I'm going to eat it. No. You have to kind of see, okay, maybe it needs a little bit more salt. Maybe it needs a little pepper. Maybe it needs a little hot pepper. So it's important to constantly taste the dish as it evolves. That's my craziness that I constantly have to, kind of be in control of the dish. So, I mean, so easy thing is like canned clams. Even, like today for lunch, I made a quick egg salad. So how hard is that? You boil eggs, you mix it with a little bit of mayonnaise, a little bit of I put a little bit of mustard in mine. And it's simple. I mean, you want to put some onion, you want to put some shaved carrot, you can do whatever you want. But again, just simple dishes that really, I mean, because I've been eating like a champ. And I have to really especially now that that when Easter comes and I'll be eating the pastiera and all these other crazy dishes, I have to kind of tone it down a little bit. Else they're gonna roll me out of here when we're out of quarantine.
I know. I could definitely. I bought a pound and a half of mozzarella, some pepperoni, and I'm like, it's only me eating it because my wife doesn't really eat it. My son's too small, so I have the wine. We do Zoom. We had last week. We actually did Zoom with my family, and I was drinking the wine. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, this is at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever it was. This is the time that we would be, enjoying." So I got dressed up. It was beautiful in the sense that we were all safe. So I'm going to give you advice, not advice, but an idea for the future. Since you're a chef. I think you should do a pandemic cookbook. That's what I think you should do.
That's a good idea.
I'll go in partners with you. But just let us know, how can people watch your show on Facebook or Instagram? Can you give us your handles and all that before we go?
Yeah, so I mean, I do like a traditional podcast, and it's www.tonymanja.com. That's TonyMangia.com. If you search Tony Manja on Facebook or Instagram, actually my Instagram handle is easy. It's Instagram.com/Tony Manja. My Facebook, like I said, you just search Tony Manja and you should be able to find me. But I'm constantly posting videos or pictures of food, the history of food, and even with my faith, I try to be active with my Catholic faith. So I'm always posting saints of the day or different celebrations with different kind of foods. So I mean, I'm very active on social media.
Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Easter weekend.
You too. God bless you.
I really appreciate the time.
My
God
pleasure.
bless. Guys, always remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through words and actions. Take care, guys.